When a 10-year-old boy walked into a motorcycle club's garage, he didn't ask to sit on a bike. He didn't ask for candy. Instead, he asked a question that stopped everyone cold. "Can I borrow a helmet for my mom?" What he said next revealed a truth no one expected, and set off a chain reaction that would change his entire world. The Red Valley Guardians MC had just rolled back into their clubhouse after a long Saturday ride through the canyon. Dust still clung to their boots, and the smell of gasoline and leather hung thick in the air. Rooster was wiping down his Road King when he noticed the kid standing by the garage entrance. The boy couldn't have been more than 10. Skinny arms, sunburned shoulders poking out of a faded tank top 2 sizes too big. His flip-flops were held together with duct tape, and his hair looked like it had been cut with Kit Connor's scissors. But it was his eyes that caught Rooster's attention, tired in a way that didn't belong on a kid's face. "Hey there, bud," Rooster called out, setting down his rag. "You lost." The boy shook his head. "No, sir. I came to ask you something." A few of the other guardians drifted over, curious. Dolores leaned against a workbench, arms crossed. Slider killed the engine on his softail. The kid had their attention now. "What's on your mind?" Rooster asked, crouching down to meet the boy at eye level. "Can I borrow a helmet?" the boy asked. His voice was steady, matter-of-fact. "For my mom." Rooster blinked. Behind him, someone chuckled. "Kid wants his mom to ride with us," Miller joked. But the boy didn't smile. "No, sir, because she drives with her eyes closed sometimes." Nobody was laughing anymore. Rooster's expression shifted. "What do you mean, drives with her eyes closed?" "She works real late," the boy explained, as casually as if he were talking about the weather. "At the diner until midnight, then she cleans offices until 5. She doesn't sleep much. When we drive to the laundromat on Sundays, I try to keep her awake. I talk real loud or I poke her arm. But sometimes she just drifts. She misses stop signs. Last week she went through a red light and didn't even notice." The garage had gone completely silent. Even the radio in the corner seemed to quiet. Dolores stepped forward, her tough exterior cracking just slightly. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Tyler." "Tyler, where's your dad?" "Don't have one. Just me and Mom." Rooster exchanged a look with Dolores. They both knew what this meant. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a kid playing make-believe. This was real. "Tyler," Rooster said carefully, "where do you live?" The boy pointed east, toward the tracks. "Other side, above the old liquor store that closed down." Brick, who'd been standing in the shadows, spoke up for the first time. "The one with the busted window?" Tyler nodded. Rooster stood slowly, his knees cracking. "How about you show us? Just so we can make sure your mom's okay." Tyler hesitated, his eyes flickering with something that looked like fear. "She's gonna be mad I bothered you. She says I'm not supposed to ask strangers for stuff." "You didn't bother us," Dolores said gently, kneeling beside him. "And we're not strangers anymore. We're neighbors." The walk took 15 minutes. Tyler led them through alleys and across the railroad tracks, past chain-link fences and abandoned shopping carts. When they reached the building, Rooster's stomach tightened. Peeling paint, sagging gutters, windows covered with bedsheets instead of curtains. The apartment was on the 2nd floor. Tyler knocked softly, 3 quick taps like a code. A moment later, the door cracked open. The woman who answered looked exhausted in a way that went beyond tired. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing scrubs that had seen better days. She was probably mid-30s but looked 50. "Tyler." Her voice was hoarse. Then she saw the bikers behind him, and her face went pale. "What happened? Is he okay?" "He's fine, ma'am," Rooster said quickly, removing his sunglasses. "Name's Rooster. These are some friends from the Red Valley Guardians. Your boy came by our clubhouse asking for a helmet." Erica's face flushed red. "Oh God. Tyler, I told you." She looked at Rooster, mortified. I'm so sorry. He shouldn't have bothered you. We don't need anything. But Dolores was already looking past her into the apartment. Nearly empty fridge visible from the doorway. A couch with springs poking through. Tyler's school backpack patched with safety pins. Ma'am, Dolores said softly. When's the last time you slept through the night? Erica's eyes filled with tears. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Rooster didn't sleep that night. He kept seeing Erica's face. The way it crumbled when Dolores asked about sleep. The way she'd apologized for existing. He'd seen poverty before, but this was different. This was someone drowning in plain sight, too proud to scream for help. The next morning, he was at the clubhouse. Dolores was already there, coffee in hand, looking just as restless. "We doing this?" she asked. "Yeah," Rooster said. "We're doing this." He called an emergency church meeting, club business only, no outsiders. By mid-morning, the guardians sat around the scarred wooden table in the back room. Rooster laid it out plain. Single mother, 2 jobs, kid worried enough to ask bikers for a helmet because he thought it might save her life. "So what are we talking here?" asked Wrench, the club's treasurer. "A fundraiser? Pass the hat." "No," Dolores cut in. "That woman won't take charity. You saw her face. She'd rather collapse than accept a handout." Slider leaned forward, his former social worker instincts kicking in. "Then we don't make it about her. We make it about Tyler. Kids accept help easier than parents do. We offer tutoring, after-school stuff. Meanwhile, we handle the practical things quietly." Miller, the mechanic, rubbed his beard. "That car of hers is a death trap. Bald tires, brakes grinding metal on metal. I can fix it. Tell her it's a club promotion or something. Free safety inspection for single parents." Brick, still standing in the corner, spoke quietly. "Kid mentioned laundromat. Sunday mornings. That means no washer in the apartment." Dolores nodded slowly. "And I saw that fridge. Mostly condiments and a carton of eggs. When's she eating? When's he eating?" The plan came together piece by piece. Keep it simple. Just people showing up, offering solutions that looked like opportunities instead of pity. Sunday afternoon, 2 trucks pulled up outside the liquor store building. Tyler was sitting on the front steps doing homework when he spotted them. His eyes went wide as Rooster climbed out, followed by Miller, Dolores, and Slider. "Hey, Tyler," Rooster called. "Your mom home?" Before the boy could answer, Erica appeared in the doorway, still in her diner uniform. Her expression shifted from confusion to alarm. "What's going on?" "Nothing bad," Dolores said quickly, holding up her hands. "Promise. We just had some things lying around the clubhouse that nobody's using, and we thought of you." Miller was already hauling a set of tires from the truck bed. "These came off a member's truck last month. Barely used, wrong size for his new rig. Heard your car might need them." Erica stared. "I can't. They're literally going to the dump otherwise," Miller interrupted. "You'd be doing me a favor. Storage space is tight." Rooster pulled out a DOT-approved helmet, child-sized, with a matte black finish. He handed it to Tyler. "This is for you, bud. For when you ride bikes someday. Can't start too early with safety." Tyler's hands trembled as he took it. He looked up at his mother, asking permission with his eyes. Erica's voice cracked. "You didn't have to do this." "We know," Dolores said. Then she nodded towards Slider, who was carrying 2 heavy bags of groceries. "And before you say anything, the food bank gave us way too much this month. Club can't eat it all before it goes bad. You'd actually be helping us out." It was a lie and everyone knew it. But it was the kind of lie that let Erica accept without breaking. She covered her face with her hands and cried. Tyler wrapped his arms around her waist, and for a moment, nobody spoke. Over the next 2 weeks, the guardians became fixtures in Tyler's life. Slider started showing up after school 3 days a week, helping with math homework at the library. He discovered Tyler was smart, really smart, just behind because he'd missed school helping his mom or because he'd been too hungry to concentrate. Miller made good on the tire promise, then casually mentioned the brakes while he was at it. Might as well do them now while I've got it on the lift, he said. Erica tried to pay him. He refused. But it was Brick who surprised everyone, including himself. The quiet ex-Marine with the haunted eyes started inviting Tyler to the clubhouse on Saturdays. He'd show the boy how to clean carburetors, check oil, torque bolts to spec. He didn't talk much, but he didn't have to. Tyler watched everything, absorbed everything, asked questions that showed he was really thinking. One Saturday, while they were rebuilding a carburetor, Tyler asked, "Were you in the war?" Brick's hands stilled. "Yeah." "Did you have kids?" A long pause. "Had a son. Lost him when he was about your age. Car accident." Tyler looked up at him. "I'm sorry." Brick nodded, then went back to work. But something had shifted. After 8 long years, he finally sensed that loss didn't have to be the end of the story. Meanwhile, Dolores had been working another angle. She'd helped Erica update her resume and found a posting for an administrative position at a medical supply company. Better pay, daytime hours, benefits. Erica was terrified of the interview, convinced she'd blow it. "You won't," Dolores told her firmly, "because you're going to walk in there and tell them the truth. You're the hardest worker they'll ever meet." 3 days later, Erica got the call. She'd gotten the job. She started in 2 weeks. The changes started small, almost invisible. Tyler began showing up to school with a lunch packed in an actual lunchbox instead of a wrinkled paper bag. His clothes, while still worn, were cleaner. He smiled more. His teacher, Mrs. Connors, noticed immediately. She'd taught long enough to recognize the signs of a struggling family, and she'd watched Tyler fade over the past year. Grades slipping, attention wandering. That hollow look kids get when they're carrying adult problems. But something had shifted. During parent-teacher conferences, she mentioned it to Erica. "Whatever you're doing, it's working," Mrs. Connors said. "He's more focused, happier." Erica's eyes filled with tears. "I'm not doing it alone anymore." That's when Mrs. Connors learned about the Guardians. About Slider's tutoring sessions, about Brick teaching Tyler mechanics, about Dolores helping Erica find stable work. She was quiet for a moment, then pulled out her calendar. "I live near the medical supply company where you'll be working," she said. "Tuesday and Thursday your shifts start before school, right? I can pick Tyler up. It's on my way." Erica tried to protest, but Mrs. Connors waved her off. "I have 2 boys in college. My mornings are too quiet now anyway. Word travels fast in small neighborhoods. So does kindness when people are watching." Mr. Kowalski, the elderly man who ran the corner store, had watched the Guardians coming and going from the apartment above the liquor store. At first, he'd been suspicious. Bikers usually meant trouble in this neighborhood. But then he saw them carrying groceries, saw the boy laughing again after months of silence, saw the mother walking with her shoulders a little straighter. One afternoon, when Erica came in to buy milk and bread, he stopped her at the register. "Day-old stuff goes in that basket by the door," he said gruffly, pointing. "Half price. You'd be doing me a favor. Otherwise it's waste." Erica knew it wasn't day-old. The bread was still warm, but she nodded, understanding the game. "Thank you, Mr. Kowalski." He grunted and went back to his newspaper, but she caught the hint of a smile. Not everyone approved. Linda Morrison, who lived 2 doors down from Erica, started spreading whispers at the community center. "Motorcycle gang hanging around that building," she told anyone who'd listen. "You know what those people are like. Probably dealing drugs, using that poor woman as a front." The rumors found their way back to Dolores through the grapevine. She showed up at Linda's door the next evening, alone, wearing jeans and a plain shirt instead of her leather vest. "Mrs. Morrison? I'm Dolores. I believe you have some concerns about the Red Valley Guardians." Linda's eyes narrowed. You're one of them. I am. I'm also a registered nurse who volunteers at St. Mary's. I understand why you're worried. This neighborhood has seen rough times. You're protecting your community. I respect that. Linda hadn't expected respect. She'd expected confrontation. It disarmed her. Dolores continued, "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here because a 10-year-old boy asked for help in the only way he knew how. His mother is working herself into an early grave trying to survive. We're just neighbors helping neighbors. Nothing more, nothing less." Linda was quiet for a long moment. Then, "The boy, Tyler. He's a good kid. Used to help me carry groceries before his mother got so busy. He still would if you asked him." Something softened in Linda's expression. "Maybe I will." The next Sunday, Linda showed up at Erica's door with a container of her famous pierogi. "For the boy," she said simply. Then she left before Erica could thank her. But acceptance wasn't coming from everyone. Erica herself was struggling more than she let on. The new job was a blessing, but it terrified her. After years of mindless physical work, serving tables, mopping floors, she was suddenly answering phones, managing schedules, being treated like a professional. She kept waiting for someone to realize they'd made a mistake, that she didn't belong there. One evening, after a particularly rough day where she'd fumbled an important call, she broke down in front of Dolores. "I don't know what I'm doing," she sobbed. "I'm going to mess this up. They're going to fire me, and then what? I'll have let down everyone who helped us. Tyler will think I'm a failure again." "Again?" Dolores asked sharply. "When did Tyler ever think that? He asked strangers for a helmet because I couldn't keep us safe." "What kind of mother?" "The kind who works 2 jobs and still makes sure her kid gets to school. The kind who spent her last dollar on his medicine instead of her own needs. The kind who raised a boy brave enough and smart enough to ask for help when he needed it." Dolores gripped Erica's shoulders. "You want to know a secret? Years ago, I was you, living in my car, working 3 part-time jobs, convinced I was worthless. The club found me passed out in a parking lot from exhaustion. They gave me a job at the clubhouse, helped me get my nursing degree. I tried to refuse just like you did. Know what Rooster told me?" Erica shook her head. "He said, you can accept help now, or you can accept it later when things get worse. Either way, we're not going anywhere." So I accepted. And look at me now. She smiled. "Your turn to let people care about you." Erica wiped her eyes. "I don't know how to do that." "You're already doing it." 3 weeks after Erica started, disaster struck. Her car, despite Miller's repairs, finally gave up on the highway during an evening drive home with Tyler. The engine seized, smoke pouring from under the hood. They coasted to the shoulder as semis screamed past, shaking the tiny vehicle. Tyler's face went pale. Erica's hands trembled on the wheel. They sat in the deafening silence after the engine died, both realizing how close to the edge they still were. Erica pulled out her phone. She had 3 numbers she could call now. Dolores, Rooster, or Slider. She chose Rooster. He answered on the first ring. "We're coming," he said before she could even explain. "Stay in the car. Lock the doors. We'll be there." Less than 20 minutes later, headlights appeared. Not 1 bike, but 6. The Guardians formed a protective barrier around the dead car while Miller hooked it to his truck. Brick rode Tyler back on his bike while Dolores drove Erica in her car. That night, sitting in the clubhouse while Miller assessed the damage. The engine was gone. Erica finally understood something. She wasn't accepting charity. She was accepting family. And family didn't let you fall. The car sat in Miller's garage, beyond saving. Too expensive to revive, worthless to sell for parts. Erica stared at it through the window of the clubhouse, doing math in her head that wouldn't work no matter how many times she recalculated. New job, better pay, but still weeks away from affording even a down payment on another vehicle. Slider found her there at dawn. He'd been awake all night, making calls, pulling strings through his old social work network. "I talked to your boss," he said quietly. Erica's head snapped toward him, panic flooding her face. "You told him about the car? He's going to think I'm unreliable. He thinks you're the best hire they've made in years," Slider interrupted. "And he's letting you work from home 3 days a week until you sort out transportation." I also called Metro Transit. "There's a bus route that stops 2 blocks from your apartment and drops off right at the medical supply building. Takes 40 minutes, but it works." Erica's voice came out strangled. "Why are you all doing this?" Slider leaned against the doorframe. "Because Tyler asked for a helmet. And because when I was 12, I watched my mom work herself sick trying to keep us fed. Nobody helped her. She died too young, heart attack in a parking lot. I became a social worker because I couldn't save her, but I figured I could save someone else's kid from watching their parent disappear." He met her eyes. "Tyler's not going to watch you disappear. Not on our watch." The transition wasn't seamless. Bus schedules were unforgiving, and Tyler had to wake up earlier to make it work with Mrs. Connors's pickup times. Erica's new boss, a man named Richard who'd built his business from nothing, noticed her stress during their first video call from home. "You're doing fine," he told her when she apologized for her cluttered background. "Better than fine, actually. You solved that scheduling conflict yesterday in 10 minutes that would have taken my last assistant 10 days. You've got instincts for this work." Erica didn't believe him at first. As the weeks passed, she found herself navigating spreadsheets and supplier calls with growing confidence and coordinated deliveries across 3 states. Something shifted. She started to see herself the way Richard and the Guardians saw her. Not as someone broken, but as someone resilient beyond measure. Saturday morning at the clubhouse had become Tyler's favorite time. Brick had cleared a workspace just for him. A small bench with tools sized for younger hands, a rolling stool, a pegboard where Tyler had organized wrenches by size. Today, Brick pulled out a battered red toolbox and set it on the workbench between them. "This was my son's," he said, his voice rough. "Danny. He wanted to be a mechanic like his old man. Never got the chance." Tyler's hands hovered over the toolbox, afraid to touch something so sacred. "It's been sitting in my closet since he died," Brick continued. "Figured it was time it got used for what it was meant for." He pushed it toward Tyler. "It's yours now. Take care of it." Tyler's eyes filled with tears. "I promise." Brick nodded once, then turned away, wiping at his face. But his shoulders, which had carried grief like stones for nearly a decade, seemed just a little lighter. The club's annual charity ride was approaching, 100 bikes rolling through town to raise money for the Children's Hospital. This year, Rooster had added something new, a sidecar attached to his custom trike, painted red with flame details. "Tyler," Rooster called from across the garage, "you ever been on a bike before?" The boy shook his head, eyes wide. "Well, that's about to change. Got your helmet." Tyler ran to his locker. Dolores had given him one after he kept leaving his things scattered around, and pulled out the black helmet. When he lifted it, something crinkled inside. He pulled off the liner and found a piece of notebook paper, folded small. It was in his own handwriting, from the first day the Guardians had brought the helmet to his apartment. He'd forgotten writing it, but the words came back clearly. "She needs it more than me, but now I think we both have one." He'd meant safety, protection. But reading it now, Tyler realized he'd been writing about something bigger, about hope, about people who showed up, about not being invisible anymore. The morning of the ride, Erica stood in the clubhouse parking lot, wearing jeans Dolores had helped her pick out and a red Valley Guardians supporter shirt. Her hair was down, and she wasn't wearing her waitress shoes or cleaning company scrubs. She looked like herself, whoever that was becoming. Tyler climbed into the sidecar, helmet secure, grinning so wide his face hurt. Brick had helped him wire LED lights around the sidecar's edge the night before. Slider had made sure the safety harness was DOT approved and properly fitted. Dolores had packed snacks like he was going on a cross-country trip instead of a 2-hour loop. As the engines roared to life, a thunderous chorus that shook the pavement, Tyler looked up at his mother. She was crying, but smiling bigger than he'd ever seen. The ride rolled out, and Tyler whooped as wind hit his face. People lined the streets, waving and cheering. At a stoplight, a little girl pointed at the sidecar and jumped up and down with excitement. Tyler waved back, feeling like a superhero. But it was the moment after the ride, when the bikes returned to the clubhouse, that changed everything. Rooster gathered the club and several community members who'd shown up to support the cause. "Tyler asked us a question 2 months ago," Rooster said, his gravelly voice carrying across the lot. Simple question from a kid who didn't know where else to turn. It got us thinking, how many other families are out there, slipping through the cracks, too proud or too scared to ask for help? Dolores stepped forward, holding a banner that read, "Red Valley Safety Net Fund. Starting today, the Guardians are launching a community fund," she announced. "For families who need tires, groceries, tutoring, job placement, whatever keeps them safe and moving forward. No applications, no paperwork that makes people feel like they're begging. Just neighbors helping neighbors." The crowd erupted in applause. Erica stood frozen, overwhelmed by the realization that her struggle, her son's brave question, had sparked something larger than survival. It had sparked change. Tyler held up his helmet, the note still tucked inside. He understood now what the Guardians had known all along. Sometimes asking for help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you can do. And sometimes, when the right people are listening, one small question can change the entire road ahead. Brick put his hand on Tyler's shoulder, firm, steady, the way a father would. Tyler leaned into it, and in a way he hadn't since Danny died, Brick felt complete. The engines cooled. The sun set, and a family that had been falling apart was now held together by leather, chrome, and hearts bigger than any highway they'd ever traveled. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is ask for help, and sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is answer. What would you have done if Tyler walked up to you? Share your thoughts below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to embrace the journey for more stories that remind us why compassion matters. See you in our next video.